no pun intended, episode 18. We got cheating news. Visu went on a tear on chess.com, beating Naroditsky in like a 70 game match, something like that. And one other topic that we'll save for a little bit. Matt, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing tonight, Jesse?
I am doing well. Slow news of chess, but we have some cheating news. Visu, who has come out as I'm forgetting his name,
Jacobson.
Brandon Jacobson. I kept thinking of like an S or something. Brandon Jacobson, strong GM from the US, claims his innocence. But do you want to take us through what went down with Naroditsky?
Yeah, so they had a match, and Visu is the username. People were wondering who this player is, and they were talking about it on Reddit because Visu was able to move his rook pawn up 2 squares and then move his rook up 2 squares behind it and allow Danya Naroditsky to just play bishop takes rook, just straight up sacrificing the exchange against one of the top blitz players in the world
On move two.
on move two, and he was outscoring Danya. So Danya knew this was happening game after game after game, and he was able to outscore Danya.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And since this video has come out, or since this cheating allegation stuff has come out, um, well, I guess we should back up a little bit. Chess.com banned this guy mid-game during their big session. I think it was after like 70 games or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, he was outplaying and beating Danya in a lot of these games. And in the middle of one of their games, they played from like 2:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. or something, just like chess degens. And they banned him in the middle of the game, and he was closed. His account was closed for cheating. Then he went on Reddit and made this big post claiming his innocence. Gotham Chess made a video about this, going through the whole post, going over some of the games. So, did you? Okay, question. Did you read the post or just get the cliff notes? And what did you think of it?
The post was way too long for me to read. I didn't care
Yeah.
that much at the time, but I got the gist of it, and that was enough for me. And then I kind of looked at the summary of what Naroditsky said afterward. But to me, it's like I told you this too, Jesse. I think some players are just looking for publicity because now Visu has become this famous username. It's becoming its own opening. People are playing it. It's going nuts on YouTube. It's nuts on Reddit. There's got to be a way to monetize this if you're Brandon Jacobson. And I feel like no publicity is bad publicity, especially in the chess world lately. In my mind, I'm like, I really don't care that much. I don't want to read too much into it, but it is fun to talk about on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what to think of it. I'm just expecting him to sign a book deal or to start streaming with Hans or something. Like
Yeah.
you're just waiting for like this marketing. It's like, okay, are we doing some business deal here or what's going on? One thing that confused me about the big post was all the history he wrote. Like, we don't need to know about how you were obsessed with chess when you were 7. This is just like adding signal or adding noise. There's no signal here. And really, the only thing I got out of that whole post was towards the end. He says, there's two reasons why I should be seen innocent here. One, I could have stayed anonymous, and that is probably the biggest reason why I think he may have something here. He could have very easily just never said anything. No one knew who Visu was. We'll link his uh, chess.com account in the description. But no one knew who he was, and he could have just continued to stay anonymous, except for like the people in chess.com who verified him. But the other thing was like, why would I risk my whole career or just on a few meaningless blitz games? Well, you weren't because you were anonymous, and so you weren't really risking anything. So I didn't feel like that point held any water. But I don't know. It's a very strange thing. Matt and I dug out some old videos from what's that chess channel? It's like Coffee House Chess or something like that.
Yeah. Coffee
Yeah,
chess.
like yeah, Coffee Chess, something like that, where they just play like some OTB games. They've had a ton of big names on there. They've had like Hikaru on there, Sam Shankland, And Brandon Jacobson had a few games on there too. And he just kind of like destroyed these people. He's obviously an authentic GM, a bright young talent, as he would say. But it was fun to just kind of see his personality, just like read into him a little bit. He didn't give away much in the videos, like you can get a good read on who he was, what he was up to, anything like that. But just kind of interesting to see these people outside of their normal, normal day to day. So since this video has come out, Magnus played this in an entire Title Tuesday, and he ended up scoring what, like 8.5 out of 11 or something like
That's
that.
right. Yep.
Did you watch any of his games or see any of the games or anything?
No, but it doesn't surprise me. I haven't analyzed this line with the engine yet, but I've thought about it. And I think the value of the minor pieces in a blitz game and a middle game, especially, are extremely high compared to an OTB classical game. So think about when you play your piece odds games or when I play my queen odds games. I know the value of the bishop pair is way better than trying to save a rook. So when I first started playing queen odds, I would think, oh, I got to have the rooks attacking, open up the rook files, blah, blah, blah. The bishop pair is way stronger because they're good right out of the opening into the middle game, all the way into the end game. Rooks only come into play in the end game. So I can totally see how Magnus could play piece odds, rook for a minor, rook for a bishop, and get away with it. Because I think it's very hard and it takes a long time to prove that rook is worth the 2 points when you're
Hmm.
playing 3+0.
Yeah. And I think it's actually in 3+0 with no increment at all. I feel like it's a bit easier, but also Danya is so strong in 3-0 with no increment. It's very suspicious to me that Brandon Jacobson could just come out and outplay him giving exchange odds. Like if he was just playing straight up, it'd be very weird for anyone to beat Danya outside of like Magnus or Hikaru or like maybe one of the other top guys like MVL or something.
Hans.
Uh yeah, yeah. Hikaru has said that he thinks Nerditsky is top four in the world in 3-0. So anyone coming out and beating him is already a little weird. But giving exchange odds, it's just kind of hard to believe. He wasn't playing perfect or anything, but you never know if he was getting a little assistance or whatever. He also, so this is Brandon again. He said that he's been looking at this opening with his friend Andrew Hong, I believe his name. And they've both kind of like played this a little bit. And Andrew Hong actually played this against some really strong player. I can't remember who it was, maybe even Hikaru, and won. And so he was just saying, yeah, this is normal. We've been looking at these lines a lot. We really like it, and that's why I was playing it. So it's really hard to know what's going on, but chess.com did ban him. They're standing by it. And I hope we actually get a little bit of an update here. I kind of feel like this is a good marketing opportunity for chess.com to explain how they're so confident that he cheated. It'd be nice to get a mini little Hans report. We don't need like 80 pages again like we did last time.
Yeah,
But it'd be nice to hear a little something. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, I think it's hard. Chess.com probably doesn't owe us anything because they just have their own systems in place. And Brandon didn't have to say it was him. No one knew it was Brandon Jacobson. People can speculate, but he chose to come out and say, hey, this was me and my account was banned. So I don't, I never understand the psychology of this. When an anonymous person is banned for cheating, and then that person comes out and says, hey, I didn't cheat. Why did I get unfairly banned? I don't understand that. Like, do you ever see the posts on Reddit where someone's like, yeah, my kid was banned from chess and here's their account name and I know they would never cheat. I know my kid, blah, blah, blah. And people go into the games and they're like, your kid is 99 accuracy every single game. He was 800 a year ago and now he's 2,800, or just something
Yeah.
completely ridiculous where it's
Hmm.
like, okay, you didn't have to come out and say who it was, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's another guy who like made a bet that he could get to 1,800 in 1 year or something like that. And he did it and he was celebrating and then later his account got closed for cheating.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it's funny. Have you ever played this opening?
I've not tried it. No, have you?
I've tried it a few games. I posted one in our Discord, and it's actually a really fun opening because yes, you give up a rook, of course, but you get very quick development and really good bishops very quickly. And
Hmm.
so it can, you can get the advantage back or they can slip the advantage pretty quickly. But yeah, a fun opening to play, and you should for sure try it. So basically what you do is if you're black, you'll play either A6 or H6, whichever will like bishop they open up, and then just put your rook on, or sorry, it'd be like A5,
Yeah.
A5 or H5, and then you just bring your rook up to A6 or H6, wherever it can get captured, and then you just capture back with the knight. And so that's the whole opening. And if you're playing white, you can just like put your rook on A3 or H3 and just let your opponent capture. I'm terrible with coordinates. I'm still not good.
So maybe Chicago Open. Presta J and I should both play this. That'd be kind of
Uh,
fun for
yeah,
content.
you should prep it.
What do you say, Presta J?
Yeah, thanks everyone in the chat. Hi, James, Chess Simple, Presta J. Now's a good time to say if you like to support the podcast, you are our main marketing plan. We don't have any paid advertising or anything like that for the podcast. So likes, subscribes, telling a friend about the podcast is greatly appreciated. And we thank you very much for all of your support thus far. After this podcast, we normally do an after party, an after party, and I think we should play this opening in a few games and just kind of see how it goes.
It's a great idea. I love that idea.
All right, so if you want to stay tuned for bonus content or check it out, you have to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can watch the podcast live, and then we edit it and chop it up and make it pretty for the rest of everyone else to watch. Have you been following the LOL Tyler thing at all?
Not really. I just heard he hit 1800.
He hit 1900.
Oh,
So
1900?
yeah, he just hit 1800 and now he's up to 1900.
Wow.
So he plays well. His account is Big Tonka T, which is kind of funny. But he literally started playing chess 10 months ago and he just hit 1900. That is insane progress, and he's for sure not cheating. But this is a big time Twitch streamer. I don't think he streams anything at all that he does with chess. I think it's just like him being obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But I was looking at his games a couple days ago, and he had played like 26 rapid games in one day.
Wow.
So that's at a 15-minute time control, I believe. So that's like half an hour per game at most. So he's spending 15 hours a day on chess. Let me actually bring up his profile right now.
Yeah. So I'm a firm believer that there's this skill set of people who are really good at grinding at things.
Hmm.
And not many people have that skill because a lot of us, we just get bored and move on to something else, or we want to do too many different things throughout the day. But it appears he has this skill set where he can really grind away at something and just keep getting better by playing, which we try to convince everybody that's the best way to improve. Like you don't need to even read a book if you don't want to. Just keep playing game after game after game, review them, and repeat.
Yeah, so he joined, I guess, in July of last year. So that's, yeah, about 10 months ago, July 7th. So 10 months and one day ago. And he has 6,000 rapid games. That's
Oh,
playing 10-minute chess. He has 1,800 bullet games. He has 773 blitz games, but he has played 12,000 chess.com puzzles, which is crazy.
wow.
His puzzles rating is 3,500, 3,538.
Wow. Okay, let's try an exercise, Jesse. Let's see if we
Okay.
can convert that number of games to hours played.
Okay, let's do 6,000 games. Let's just only do rapid. So 6,000 games. He's playing 10-minute games, so it's not 15 minutes. Let's say on average, each game lasts, I don't know, let's go 12 minutes. So
I
everyone
was thinking
uses,
12.
okay, so 12 times 6,000, that's 72,000. That is 1,200 hours.
Okay, what
So
about
12,
Blitz?
so that's 50 days. Holy cow. 50 days. Blitzy doesn't have a ton of games. 773. Let's do 5 minutes. divided by that's 64 hours, so that's another 2 days. And then Bullet, he's got 1,800 games of Bullet. Let's just call that another day. So he's played over the last 10 months, he's played 53 days of chess. And that's
Wow,
not including his puzzles. He's still got 1,200 puzzles on top of it. Or no, 12,000 puzzles. Wow.
that's crazy. I do. So, you know how we had that chess goals survey a few years ago that was the basis of our study plans? I would like to figure out in a survey, and this would just be best guess, asking people what their age is, what age they started playing chess, current rating, and then estimate how many hours you've spent in your whole life playing chess. There's a lot of
Oh yeah.
math nerds out there that play chess. I think people could get at least in the ballpark, right?
Yeah.
Within a factor of 10, probably. Estimate how many hours you play, and then we could figure out ways to plot it all out and say, okay, is 10,000 hours like the key to make you a master? Or does it need to be 10,000 hours by age 25? Or, what are the different things that kind of show progress curves? I think it'd be really fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. He's actually playing right now. It'd be funny to just like snipe him and see how he's doing. But what's interesting is he plays garbage openings. So for white, he plays the cow, which is very terrible. It's basically like it's kind of like a hippo, but you play E3, D3, bring your knight out weird, and you don't really play for an advantage. You actually give up an advantage pretty quickly. But he is not really making a lot of mistakes, and he just calculates well and he just plays well. It's so strange. Um, but he's probably at my strength right now. Like I think I peaked out at 1900 rapid. I don't play a whole lot of rapid. But keep in mind his blitz rating is, let me get it up. His blitz rating is only 1,000, so he maybe
Hmm.
needs a little help with quicker chess. But still, 1900 in rapid is no joke. That's a serious rating. That's the top 0.5% of all chess players in the world.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Okay, we should try to set up a match. Jesse versus Tyler 1, 10-0 rapid. That would be amazing.
That would be if we could swing it. Um, yeah, so that is actually our two topics of the day. Um, anything else you guys want to go over? Matt, anything you want to add?
Um, I think it would be interesting to find more stories of people that are making progress like this that are out there. So if anyone has any like usernames of people or you saw some story online or something, that would be pretty cool to see. Just who can get really good by grinding a ton of games, I think is very fascinating.
Yeah, and he is clearly like obsessed with chess. He's been, like we just showed, 53 days worth of chess in the last 10 months. That's a crazy pace. Um, I wonder how many hours on average that would be. So like 10 times, so 300 days. So 52, let's just do this. 52 days times 24 hours. He's playing chess for 4 hours a day every single day.
Okay, it's not
It's a
bad.
lot of chess. Yeah. So that's roughly 30 hours of play per week, not including puzzles. So he's spending a lot of time on improvement. So it's really, I don't know, it's really cool just to see someone improve so quickly, especially someone with no chess background at all. I do know that he was a big time, like a very good League of Legends player. I don't know how that translates. I've never played it, but I feel like that's a strategy game. So maybe he's taking at least some strategy learnings from that and applying it.
Yeah, I feel like those games all translate, like the different esports and things.
Yeah, what game do you think carries over the best? I've heard StarCraft is very seriously strategic, but I've never played it.
I think StarCraft probably is one of the top ones. There were a lot of good StarCraft players who became pretty good at chess back in, pre-COVID. I've played StarCraft with my roommate in college. That was really my only experience. Like he was just literally sitting over my shoulder, helping me play, and he taught me one strategy, and
Okay.
I was able to beat some people with it. Like what
Uh,
you would do is you could sneak a cannon out by their base or multiple cannons, and they can only see a certain area of the map, and the rest is dark. So this would be almost like throwing your H pawn up the board, I guess you could say.
he
And they
taught you the
don't really.
scholars, mate.
Yeah, they don't expect it, and before you know it, you have a checkmate down the H file. So it's kind of like that. They wouldn't see these cannons being built, and then all of a sudden it's called like a cannon rush. Just go bust in and destroy everybody. So I've played
Nice.
like 5 times, but I think that game transfers really well to chess.
That's cool. Yeah, I know there's a lot of overlap in chess fans and poker fans. So if you go
Hmm.
to a poker tournament, there's always people just playing chess for fun. And if you're like an 1800 or something, you can just destroy people. This reminds me, there's that famous bet between Tom Dwan, who's one of the best poker players in history, and Greg Shahade. And I believe it was Tom saying that he could easily win with night odds against Greg. And Greg, he's an IM, he's a very good player, but he's no Magnus. He just destroyed him, obviously. Like, you can't beat an IM even with peace odds. I think
Yeah,
Tom was maybe like a 1200 rated chess player or something like that.
that's cool. Yeah, poker actually is probably a even better example than anything else because there's a ton of poker players that are chess masters or higher that are good poker players too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I know Hikaru grinded a lot of poker back in the day, like on Poker Stars. I think he was doing that like as a full-time job for a while before he decided he wanted to recommit himself back to chess, which is maybe wise.
Was he a good player? Do you know? Have you watched him
I
play?
think he I think he was good. I don't know if he was like wonderful or anything like that.
Yeah, I
All
think
right.
Ben Johnson played poker as well, perpetual chess.
Oh yeah, that sounds right. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that either, but Ben had on Azel, who is a Chess Goals favorite, our first inaugural guest on the podcast. I could listen to Azel talk for hours and hours. He's just so entertaining. He knows what he's talking about. He's opinionated in a good way, like he has his strong opinions. And so it was really cool to see him on the goat chess podcast, the original. Did you listen to the whole thing?
I listened to most of it. Yeah, I skipped around a couple parts, but Hazel's awesome and that was a good episode. But I agree with you. I think I really enjoyed when we had him on, even more than that episode.
Yeah, I think we got a little more out of him than Ben did. Like, I don't know, we had a little more time, it seemed like. I feel like maybe we asked questions more specific to his course and like improvement.
Yeah.
But Ben is like this is like a 1200 player trying to give Magnus advice because Ben has like the biggest chess podcast. And he's a friend of us actually. We had him on during the last World Championship match between Ding and Nepo he joined you?
Now I'm forgetting which world championship match he was on, but yeah, he did join, which was awesome.
Maybe, yeah, I can't remember now if maybe it was actually Magnus and Fabi, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't think it was the most recent, but we need to have him on. This book is still on my desk, Jesse.
I
Perpetual
love it.
Chess Improvement Book. Very good book by Ben Johnson. This is the first chess book I've read cover to cover in a very long time.
So we're on episode 18. I bet Matt has plugged Ben's book in probably 8 of our episodes. I'm not exaggerating. Do you think that's about right?
Yeah, I'd put the over under around 7.5. You
Yeah.
could pick over.
Because I think you finished it right after we finished episode 2 or 3 or something, and you like couldn't wait to get it out of your system to like tell everybody about the book.
Okay, we were talking about doing an intro clip or intro video where we have clips from old episodes. Maybe it should just be me pumping the same Perpetual Chess book like 10 times. And that'll be the start
That'd,
of our video.
that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, it was cool in that episode too that he gave Chescoles a shout out, and he seemed to base his interview based on the stuff that we asked him. So he referenced like the questions we asked and everything like that. So that was cool too. He even followed up on how he would play, how Azel would play chess in school. He's like, how would you just memorize these end game positions like in class? And Azel's like, oh well, they're like the teachers, didn't really care anyway. They couldn't really stop me. They knew if they kicked me out, I'd just go read in the hallway anyway. Like he's just got his great answers to all this stuff.
And you heard what book he had in school, right?
Yeah, Duretsky's Endgame.
Yeah, it's so thick. And Ben's
Yeah,
like, how do you sneak that book in there? And he's like, what's the worst that could happen? They would take me out of the classroom and I'd read the book wherever they tell me to go.
yeah, classic. We will link that in the description. Oh, and he's here. Hazel's
Oh,
in the
advice
chat.
cabinet.
I knew there was a reason this popped up on my YouTube recommendation. Good to have you, Hazel. We'll have you on the podcast anytime. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, Azel, great interview on Perpetual Chess Podcast. That was awesome. I do feel like now with cell phones, like if you had all of your chess books on your phone, it'd be way easier to study during school. 'Cause I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think
big time.
teachers make you put your phones away anymore, do they?
No, not at
They just
all.
they gave up.
Okay, Matt, what is your stance on chess cheaters? What should the punishment be?
That's a great question, Neil. I think chess.com has a pretty good system in place where you can get a second chance account, but I do feel like there should be a little bit more information given out publicly when people cheat without being too afraid of legal issues because right now there's really not much to stop a title player from cheating the first time, I would say. Right? People could speculate you cheated, maybe they notice your account got closed, but it's nothing's really shown. Whereas if you were a titled player, let's say, and you cheated online and they said you're banned from over the board events for certain duration, I think that stricter punishment would make people much less likely to cheat. But right now, there's really no connection between over the board play, which is what people consider like the serious tournaments with the prize money, and online play, which is where you tend to have a lot more cheaters, I would say, proportionally than over the board. It's much harder to cheat in a physical setting than it is online.
Yeah, and I think if you get caught cheating over the board, there should be a zero tolerance policy, especially for title players. Like we've seen, was it like Rouskis or something? I think he made GM honestly, but then he kept like boosting his rating via cheating, but they stripped him of his GM title, and I think that's probably right. I think you lose
Yeah.
your title. I think you are banned from tournament event or playing tournaments. Why would anyone want to play you? So I think that makes sense. There's also some other blind chess player that was cheating somehow. I think he had like an earpiece and like had a huge run, but they found out he was cheating, and so they banned him. But yeah, over the board cheating versus online cheating is a different ball game in my opinion.
I'm trying to think of a good analogy. Like, would you hire someone to do work for you if they were known to be a fraud? Like whether it's financial fraud or, different types of cheating? No, you probably wouldn't. You would want to read the reviews and know about this. It's the same, I would say, with a lot of these chess players. Like they make their living mostly off of teaching online, teaching camps, teaching kids, right? We talked about what things we want to show kids in the chess
Yeah,
world. We don't want to show them that cheating is okay, right? If they see,
yeah,
I think that's what probably what's going to make people actually change is we're going to start to realize that a lot of kids, and when I say kids, I mean even like high schoolers, believe it's okay to cheat because there's no punishment and they're kids, right? So if you're 16 years old, you're rated 1800, but you figure you can get your blitz rating to 2400, impress all your friends. I think there's going to be a lot of that. And then at some point, people are going to say, okay, now there's just too much. Like we got to figure out a way to add more punishment.
yeah. It's hard to say. I do trust that chess.com is actually doing a very good job of this, and so I'll just kind of defer to them. Lichess doesn't have as much skin in the game as far as cheat detection. Like they can ban people, but it's a very different setup than chess.com. I think chess.com stakes a lot of their reputation on cheat detection and just having their title Tuesdays be cheat free, I think is a really big deal for them. So they're doing good work there and they get a lot of flack for how they handle basically everything, but it's an impossible situation to handle, and I actually think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think they're doing a good job overall.
Yeah. Alrighty, that is going to wrap up this podcast, episode 18. Thank you all for joining as always. If you could like the video, subscribe, give us a rating, it is deeply appreciated. And we will see all the live viewers in the after party. See you later.